The vase didn't just fall, it exploded. Glass flying past Keisha's pregnant belly as Madison screamed, "You don't deserve to touch my daughter." The baby in the crib wailed. Keisha froze, one hand over her stomach, the other shaking in the air as Madison stepped closer in her expensive heels like she wanted to crush her. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening, and the world needs to hear them. Madison's voice sliced the nursery like a knife. I said, "Don't touch her. You think being pregnant makes you a saint." Keisha kept her voice soft. "Ma'am," she was choking. I only lifted the bottle upright. Madison's eyes narrowed. "And I told you I don't need parenting tips from help." The baby's cries grew louder, trembling through the room. Keisha instinctively reached toward her, but Madison's arm shot out, blocking her. "Don't. You'll make her clingy again. You always do." A hard silence settled, broken only by the baby's sobs. Then the nursery door swung open. Cole, the billionaire husband, stepped in. His jaw tightened as he saw the shattered vase, the crying child, and his wife's manic anger. "What happened?" Madison rushed him first, playing fragile. She pushed me. She was snatching the baby out of my arms. Keisha's heart sank. "Sir, that's not..." Madison cut her off. "Cole, she thinks she knows better than me. She's undermining me in front of our own daughter." Cole looked between them, confusion tightening his brow. He wasn't a cruel man, just a man who had lived too long in a world where Madison controlled the narrative. Keisha finally spoke, steady but hurting. "The baby was coughing, sir. I only helped her breathe." Madison scoffed. "Oh, please. Now she's a hero? Look at her face, Cole. Look at the way she holds herself. She thinks she belongs here." A shard of glass cracked under Madison's heel as she stepped forward, towering over Keisha. "You're carrying someone else's baby and acting like you're part of this family. You're not." Keisha's throat tightened. She looked at the crying child, then at Cole, silently begging him to just see her. His jaw flexed. "Put the baby down, Keisha." Her breath trembled, but she obeyed. The baby whimpered as she released her. And when Keisha stepped back, she felt the shift, the coldness, the doubt. Madison leaned into Cole, whispering loudly enough for her to hear. She needs to remember her place. Keisha lowered her eyes, one hand over her belly. Inside, something hardened. This wasn't just cruelty. It was war. The house felt different the next morning. Quieter, colder, like the walls themselves had heard what happened in the nursery. Keisha moved through the halls with careful steps, one hand instinctively resting on her belly, the other holding a small basket of Emily's fresh clothes. The marble floors reflected her silhouette, but she felt smaller than it looked. Downstairs in the staff kitchen, conversations hushed the moment she walked in. A few glances flicked her way, quick, sharp, then turned aside. She wasn't surprised. Madison's voice traveled faster than truth ever could. Keisha poured herself a cup of warm water instead of coffee. The nausea was unpredictable these days. She took a slow breath and stepped back into the hallway. When she reached the nursery, the crying hit her before she even opened the door. Emily's wail was sharp, desperate. Keisha hurried inside. The toddler was on her back, tiny fists flailing, face blotchy with tears. Her bottle lay on the mattress, barely touched. "Hey, sweet girl," Keisha whispered, lifting her gently. The baby clung to her instantly, pressing her face into Keisha's shoulder as if hiding from the world. "I've got you. I'm right here." She rocked her slowly, humming a soft melody her grandmother used to sing. Emily's sobs softened into small hiccups. Her tiny hand clutched Keisha's collar, refusing to let go. Madison didn't hold her long enough to be a comfort, and Cole held her carefully, but rarely. Here, in Keisha's arms, Emily felt safe. She warmed a new bottle and fed her in slow spoonfuls. The baby's big eyes watched her, still glossy with leftover tears. Every few moments, Emily lifted her small hand to Keisha's cheek, as if checking she was still there. After the meal, Keisha changed her into a soft yellow romper. The child giggled when Keisha tapped her nose, the sound light and fragile, as if afraid to exist too loudly in this house. Later, as Keisha carried Emily down the hallway for a brief walk. She passed Cole speaking on the phone near the staircase. His eyes flicked to her, then to the baby resting peacefully against her chest. Something unreadable crossed his face. Guilt, maybe, or realization, but he said nothing. Keisha didn't slow down. She wasn't expecting comfort from anyone here, just enough distance to breathe, and enough strength to survive one more day. Keisha froze halfway down the stairway when she heard it. Her own name, whispered like a warning. She's getting too close. A voice hissed. Madison won't let her stay much longer. Another replied. After last night, she's finished. She just doesn't know it yet. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. Keisha remained still, one hand gripping the railing as footsteps faded. The staff voices drifted off toward the West Hall, their whispers swallowed by the mansion's towering ceilings. Her stomach tightened, not from pregnancy pain, but from the quiet truth in their words. She wasn't imagining it anymore. Madison had lit a slow fire under her, and now the whole house smelled the smoke. She walked into the laundry room to prepare Emily's fresh sheets. Mrs. Chin stood there, folding towels, her movements sharper than usual. Normally she offered a soft smile or a warm greeting, but today she didn't look up at all. Morning, Keisha said, a stiff nod. Nothing more. Keisha placed the linens down, but her voice remained gentle. Did something happen? You seem distant. Mrs. Chun kept her eyes on the towels. I don't want trouble. Keisha swallowed. I'm not trouble. You are when she says you are. Keisha didn't respond. She lifted the folded sheets and left quietly, each step heavier than the last. Back in the nursery, Emily crawled toward her with a delighted squeal. The tiny girl tugged at Keisha's leg until she lifted her up. As soon as the baby settled against her shoulder, the fear in Keisha's chest eased, but only slightly. Later that afternoon, as she rocked Emily near the window, Cole entered unexpectedly. She stiffened. He looked tired, softer around the edges. I saw the cameras, he said quietly. You didn't push her. Keisha looked up, startled. His voice held no hesitation. He inhaled deeply. But Madison, she told the staff a different story. They believe her. He rubbed the back of his neck. People here don't question her much. I noticed, Keisha said, voice barely above a whisper. He met her eyes. I'm sorry. She nodded once. No anger, no tears, just exhaustion. He took a small step closer. Emily seems calmer with you. Keisha pressed her cheek to the toddler's soft curls. She just needs love. That's all. Cole opened his mouth, like he wanted to say something else. Something human, something real, but he stopped. Be careful, he said instead. Then he left the room. Keisha watched him go. The mansion wasn't just cold anymore. It was shifting. Someone was pulling strings, and she could feel the trap tightening around her name. The next morning began with a quiet wrongness. Something small, something subtle, but sharp enough to prick Keisha's instincts. Emily's rash ointment wasn't where she left it. The baby's blanket was folded in a different pattern. Her feeding bottle, prepped and labeled last night, now had a faint sour smell. Keisha held the bottle close, sniffed again, and whispered to herself, "This isn't the one I made." She checked the fridge. Her handwriting was missing from the label entirely. Someone had switched it. She set the bottle aside, cleaned and replaced it with a freshly warmed one. Emily drank slowly, resting her tiny hand against Keisha's chest. But the unease inside Keisha settled deeper, heavier. Later, when she walked into the nursery after stepping out for only a minute, she froze. The crib had been moved 3 feet to the left. The glider chair was gone, and the framed photo she had placed on the dresser, the one of Emily laughing in her towel after bath time, was missing. Keisha's pulse quickened. She looked around the room like she was scanning for danger. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Why are you doing this?" The answer appeared in the doorway. Madison leaned with one hand on the frame, her expression cool as marble. "Redecorating," she said, The room was getting cluttered, and frankly, you were making it feel like your space. Keisha held Emily tighter. She needs consistency, not chaos. Madison's smile sharpened. She needs boundaries. You're making her clingy. She's one, Keisha replied calmly. And you're the maid. Madison stepped inside, heels tapping softly across the rug. Stop acting like you matter more than you do. Keisha didn't react. She stroked the baby's back until Emily's breathing steadied. Madison circled the room like a predator surveying territory. Cole's been watching you, she said lightly. He notices the way you comfort her. He notices the way she cries for you. And I'm sure you enjoy that. Keisha's jaw tightened. I enjoy seeing her safe. Madison raised a brow. Safe? She's fine with me. Yesterday, she cried so hard her lips trembled. That was because you spoiled her, Madison snapped. Keisha shook her head. She was scared. Madison's eyes darkened. Don't pretend you know anything about fear. You're just a temporary inconvenience. Keisha didn't respond. She simply rocked Emily slowly, letting her silence answer the cruelty. Then another presence filled the doorway. Cole. He stood perfectly still, eyes moving from the shifted furniture to the missing glider to Madison's sharp posture. The tension in the room thickened. Madison recovered first. I'm organizing, she said sweetly. Keisha's been making things messy. Cole looked at Keisha. The question in his eyes was silent but heavy. Keisha cleared her throat softly. I just want Emily to feel safe. Madison laughed under her breath. Of course she does. She clings to whoever feeds her. It's biology. Cole didn't laugh. He simply exhaled, rubbing his temples. Enough, both of you. Madison's jaw twitched, but she stepped aside. Keisha moved toward the crib to settle Emily down, but before laying her inside, she felt the little girl grip her shirt tighter. So tight her tiny knuckles whitened. Keisha whispered into her curls, I know, baby. I know. She kissed Emily's forehead and gently placed her into the crib. The child whimpered the moment Keisha stepped away. Madison folded her arms. See? She's clingy. Keisha didn't answer, but Cole's eyes lingered on the baby's trembling lip and on Keisha's steady, aching gaze. For the first time, he looked like a man beginning to question everything he thought he knew. It started with a folded note slipped under the nursery door. Just one line written in rushed handwriting. Library. 10 a.m. Mandatory staff meeting. She requested it. Keisha didn't know who wrote it, but she knew exactly who she meant. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it. By the time Keisha reached the library, the entire staff was already gathered. Maids, gardeners, the chef, groundskeepers. Every uniform stiff with nerves. Madison stood at the front, like a queen preparing to decree punishment. Cole was nowhere in sight. Keisha stepped in with Emily resting against her shoulder. The whispers ignited instantly. There she is. She made the wife lose it. She shouldn't even still be here. Madison clapped once, silencing them. Thank you for coming, she said, her smile ice thin. I've called this meeting to address a problem. Keisha felt the room tilt slightly. Emily shifted uncomfortably in her arms. Madison folded her hands. This household functions on order, professionalism, and respect. But recently, some individuals have forgotten their place. Her eyes locked on Keisha. Keisha didn't blink. From now on, Madison continued, there will be no private conversations with family members, no private meals, no unnecessary physical contact with children unless explicitly instructed, and no emotional manipulation to gain special treatment. The room went dead silent. Madison added, any violation of these rules will result in immediate dismissal. She paused, letting the words sow themselves into every pair of fearful eyes. Then she twisted the knife. And yes, this applies even to those who are pregnant. A ripple of shock moved through the staff. Keisha held Emily tighter, the baby's tiny fingers curling into her blouse, as if sensing the tension. Keisha's voice finally broke the silence. May I ask something? Madison raised a brow. If you must. Keisha stepped forward, calm but unshaken. Are these new rules for everyone or just for me? A gasp shot through the room. Madison's lipstick smile flickered. You may consider that question beneath an answer. Keisha nodded once. Noted. She turned to leave, not waiting for dismissal. Emily clung to her, small arms around her neck. Whispers erupted the moment the door closed behind her. In the corridor, Keisha paused, pressing her cheek against Emily's head. Her heartbeat thudded against the child's soft curls. Mrs. Hayes approached slowly. Bold question, she murmured. Keisha exhaled. She's trying to break me. She's scared of you, Hayes corrected. And when people like her get scared, they get cruel. Keisha adjusted Emily on her hip. What should I do? Mrs. Hayes stared at her with something like respect. You stand your ground, but be ready. When a woman like Madison realizes fear isn't working, she doesn't stop. She leaned in closer. She escalates. Keisha felt it then, a chill running down her spine. Madison wasn't done, not even close. The storm hit just after sunset, a low rumble rolling across the estate like a warning. Keisha stood at the nursery window, watching rain streak the glass, while Emily slept curled on her chest. The baby's breath was warm and steady, but Keisha's wasn't. Her mind replayed the meeting over and over. The threat, the humiliation, the way Madison had spoken of pregnancy like it was a weapon. A soft knock broke the silence. Keisha turned. Cole stood in the doorway, rain-damp hair, sleeves rolled up, no trace of his usual polished calm. He stepped inside slowly, as if entering dangerous territory. Is she asleep? He asked. Keisha nodded. Finally, he watched Emily for a long moment, something heavy in his expression. Then he spoke, voice low. I didn't know Madison planned that meeting. Keisha didn't look away. But you weren't there to stop it. He inhaled sharply but didn't argue. You shouldn't have been put through that. Keisha shifted Emily gently into the crib. I don't need protection, she said softly. Just truth. Cole leaned against the dresser, looking exhausted. This house used to feel predictable. Now it's collapsing in pieces. His eyes met hers. She's unraveling. Keisha folded Emily's blanket with slow, steady hands. That doesn't give her the right to hurt people. Cole's voice cracked just slightly. She's been lying to me for years. About everything. Even about our daughter. Keisha froze. Cole continued quietly. She told me Emily bonded slowly. That she wasn't affectionate. That she didn't like being held. He looked toward the crib. But every time I see her with you, I realize that was never true. Keisha kept her tone gentle. Some babies just know who makes them feel safe. He stepped closer, carefully, as if testing each footstep. You're not just good with her. You're the only one she trusts. Keisha swallowed. Her heart beat too fast, too loud. That's because she needs consistency, love, warmth, things she's missing. Cole's jaw tightened, not with anger at Keisha, but with realization. I let Madison rewrite everything. I let her decide what truth was. You can still fix it, Keisha said, if you want to. Cole looked at her then. Really looked. Not at the maid, not at the employee, but the woman who had been holding his household together while his marriage silently rotted behind designer curtains. The storm outside cracked with thunder. Inside, something shifted. Not loudly, but deeply. Cole whispered, Keisha, I don't know how to keep pretending anymore. Keisha breathed in softly, then stopped pretending. For the first time since she'd met him, he didn't walk away. He stayed, silent, thinking. And Madison's shadow, somewhere in the house, felt the shift without even seeing it. Keisha woke early the next morning, long before sunrise touched the marble floors. Something in the air felt different, still tense, but not in the same sharp, suffocating way. More like the quiet right before a long-buried truth finally breaks the surface. She carried Emily downstairs for breakfast. The toddler hummed softly, her tiny fingers gripping Keisha's shirt. As they turned the corner into the dining room, they found Cole already there, standing with his arms crossed, staring at a stack of printed papers. Madison sat across from him, eyes red, mascara smudged, her anger simmering just beneath the surface. Cole's voice was steady. "I saw the footage," he said. "All of it. The switch bottles. The crib moved. The missing medication. The lies." Madison stiffened. "You're believing her over your own wife." "I'm believing evidence," he said. "For once." Keisha stayed by the doorway, holding Emily close, saying nothing. Madison rose quickly, pointing a trembling finger. "She manipulated you. She wants your sympathy. She saved our daughter." Cole cut in. "Every time you hurt her, every time you scared her, every time you ignored her crying, Keisha was there." Madison's face twisted. "So what now? You're choosing them?" Cole didn't flinch. "I'm choosing the truth. And the truth is, you've been cruel, reckless, and you tried to drive her out because she made you look bad." Silence filled the room. Heavy, undeniable. Madison's breath shook. "You can't throw me out. This is my home." Cole's voice turned final. "Not anymore. The lawyers are on their way." Madison's jaw dropped. She stormed past Keisha, heels striking the floor like gunshots, but she didn't look back. Not at Cole, not at Emily, and certainly not the woman she tried so hard to break. The front door slammed. Keisha stood frozen for a moment until Cole stepped toward her, gently brushing a hand over Emily's back. "She's safe now," he said quietly. "Because of you." Emily reached for Keisha's face, smiling sleepily, unaware of the storm that had finally passed. Keisha exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Not in victory, not in triumph, but in peace. A quiet, steady, deeply earned peace.